So good morning again, and we're in the last week of Relapse. And so as you have joined us all today, and we're very thankful for that. And for those online, welcome and thank you for watching online. And so what we like to do is one of these things that I kind of want to do is this is the last week of this series, and as we're going into this next series, we're going to be going into this series called Living Generously. And it's not a giving series, and so I don't want you to get confused, because what happens is we do a giving series, and all of a sudden the seats end up empty. You're like, he's going to talk about money? Oh my God, get out of here. And so the next series is not a giving series. It's talking about being positive and living generously, living with knowing what God gave you. And so we're going to talk about being optimistic and being enthusiastic and actually enjoying life and doing something a little different. And so we want you to, it's going to be 4 weeks, and then we're going to go into Christmas. And we're going to do, so kind of worked out perfect for me is because Christmas falls 13 days after a Sunday. So we're going to do the 13 days of Christmas, or 12 days of Christmas, but it falls 13 days after a Sunday. So we'll have Sunday and then the 12 days of Christmas going up into it. So it's going to be one of those awesome opportunities for us to kind of go through that. So that's kind of what's going on in the next couple of weeks. But today we're going to finish our last week on really fighting the temptation of sin and overcoming what kind of happens here and the sins that hold us. You know, our key verse of this whole series has been 1 Corinthians 10:13. It says, "No temptation has overtaken you except what is common to mankind, and God is faithful, and He will not let you be tempted beyond what you can bear. But when you are tempted, He will also provide a way out so that you can endure it." Now, that's the key verse. Anybody in here ever try and go work out in the gym at all? Anybody, you ever go to the gym and you try and nobody in here works out? No wonder why we're all big. No. You know, it's like, wait a minute here. Nobody's ever been to the gym? Nobody's ever been paying for a gym membership that they don't use? They signed a contract, they just keep billing them every month, and you never walk in the door. I mean, you had to walk in one time to get that. So the reason why I bring that up is because what happens is I used to have this workout buddy. I used to go to the gym, and it was fairly regular, okay? I wasn't always this big ogre-looking guy. I used to be a little more in shape, and I used to have definitely more definition instead of the roundness. And so I used to go to the gym all the time, and I wouldn't say I was a gym rat, but I was there at like 11 o'clock at night on a regular basis. And so I go into the gym, and you know, you're laying down the bench press, and you got this buddy with you, and this buddy, he goes, "You can do it. Come on, you can do it." And then you pick up the weight, and you've been throwing it up, and then all of a sudden it lands on your chest, and the first thing that comes out of his mouth, "You're so weak. What is wrong with you?" And you're like, "Wait a minute here, dude. You just said I could do this. It's all on you," is what he tells you. It's like, "Yeah, I know it's all on me. Get it off, dude. It's heavy." And so we go through that. And the thing is that sometimes we need some help. We need help to get it off of us. You know, sometimes the weight ends up on our chest, and we're sitting there, we're going, anybody? And I've worked out alone one time, okay? And let me tell you, when you work out alone and it falls on your chest like that, it sucks. Because let me tell you what you have to do. You have to roll it off of you. And you don't roll it this way because it'll get stuck on your neck. So you got to roll it down. And it's not a comfortable experience to roll it all weight off of you. And so that's what happens is that when you try and do things alone, sometimes it doesn't work out. And so what we want to do is we want to talk a little bit about feeding your spirit. Because we try to feed our spirit alone sometimes. And we don't really use God gave us some tools. And He goes, I want you to do some things. And some of us, we don't look at this and we go, "I don't have any addictions or temptations. I don't have this." And I'm going to tell you right now, it doesn't matter the addiction or temptation. It could be gambling, it could be eating, it could be whatever it is. Sometimes we get to this point where we feel weak. We just do. Some of you guys, I hear the excuse, why else would they put a light in the refrigerator unless they wanted you to eat in the middle of the night? You've heard that excuse. I know some of you guys maybe even said it. I opened up the refrigerator, it lit up, it said it was okay to eat. And so that's what you look at. You're going, "But I feel weak," because you go, "I'm on a diet." I'll tell you guys is that this last week, I kind of changed drastically my caffeine intake. So I'm not drinking any caffeine beverage. Well, I'm drinking coffee, but I'm not drinking any of those, the Amps or the Rock Stars or any of that stuff. Sunday was my last day, and let me tell you, I paid for it on Tuesday. On Tuesday, I was like, "Oh, my head feels like it's going to explode," and And I went home and I went and played sick. You know, the thing is that when we change things dramatically like that, it's going to make some changes in our lifestyle. And we're going to look at it for temptation. You know, the temptation that comes back with it is that, like, I walked through the grocery store this morning picking up umbrellas just in case it was going to rain on you guys. That way somebody can come out there and walk you in with an umbrella. And I walked right past the energy drinks and I go, that looks delicious. That temptation, what do you use to fight it? And see, the thing is that it's kind of like a lone road for me right now, is because Melissa didn't say, hey, I'm on board with giving up this caffeine thing. She didn't go, I'm along with the ride for this. No. She said, no, I'm going to continue drinking these beverages, and in fact, I'm going to drink it in front of you. It's delicious. It is. You'll love this. Would you like one? I mean, she's like the temptress right there. Like, I know. She's defending herself so well, and it's true. Let me tell you, is that when we are often weak because we haven't bonded with what makes us strong. We are often weak because we haven't bonded what often makes us strong. That's what happens a lot of times, is that we become weak and we go, I'm weak to this. And we end up falling backwards because we haven't really bonded to what makes us strong. We haven't bonded to God and to the Spirit and to Christ. We really have gone, I'm going to do this on my own. I literally asked, I said, God, take away this temptation. And then God gives us these opportunities. When you ask to have temptation taken away, He gives you opportunities to face that temptation. He gives you opportunities. He goes, here, look, here's another one. Here's another one. It's even on sale. Look, there's 500 for $1. Get one. And that's what happens. And so you start getting more opportunities instead of going, give me the strength to get through the day. And that's what happened for me, is that I go, God, just give me the strength. Let me get through this. I don't want to do this anymore. It's affecting me. It's affecting my health. I can tell. Now, when you make that change and you get that bond, you'll find that you start becoming stronger. There's a professor of psychology in Vancouver, and his name is Bruce Alexander. And years ago, he did this research study. And what he did, he's put a whole bunch of rats on heroin and cocaine. Put a bunch of them on, put them in the cage, and he started feeding them. He just gave it, here's heroin and here's cocaine. And what they did is that almost every rat overdosed. Almost 100% of them. There was no middle ground. It wasn't like 10 or 12 of them. He put 100 rats in the cage, 99.9 of them. So that means that one of them, that he was just hanging on by a thread. But they all almost 100% of them overdosed. And they killed themselves quickly. They got into the temptation. They just could not kick it. They kept going and going and going. Well, then what he did is he created what they call Rat Park. And it's like they created this huge paradise for rats. The tunnels were made out of cheese and everything was perfect for them. And here's what happened. All the rats that they moved from those, they put heroin and cocaine in the same place. They put it all in the rat park. They had heroin and cocaine, but they had regular food, they had water, and they had happier animals. Everybody was happy. After all of them were overdosing on heroin and cocaine before, you changed the environment that they were in, none of them even touched the heroin or cocaine. They never, 100% of them, no overdoses, no use, no nothing. We changed the environment. You change the environment going away from everybody, this is all you get. You get heroin and cocaine, no water, no food, and they moved him into a rat paradise, or they called it Rat Park, and you can look this up if you want to. His name is Bruce Alexander, and when you go into it, you'll find that this study came out and people started learning about addiction. People started learning that when we're in an environment that is healthy for us, that it's an environment we want to be in, it's easier for us not to pursue the addictions that often set us back. It's easier for us to go, I want to move forward. So here's my question for you. What are your influences? Without the right influences in your life, you're weak. What are your influences? Have you bonded with the right things so that you're not vulnerable to the wrong things? Think about this in your life. Who do you hang out with? They say your 8 closest friends will identify you. And so for some of you guys, you don't have 8 friends. For some of you guys, you have 2 friends or 3 friends. Or you might have 8 acquaintances. That's the reality. The average American has 3 friends. 3. That's it. If you have more than 3 friends, you're doing good. Now, we're not talking about people you know. Okay, your cell phone might have 5,000 contacts in it. That makes no difference. We're talking friends, people who know you, People who know about your business. People you're actually willing to share with. People you talk to and go, this is what's going on in my life. This is how things are happening. Not this front that you try and put up. It's not a facade. It's the truth. Do you have 3 friends? Some of you don't have any friends. Some of you are looking at it and going, I'm an awful lonely person. Because that's the truth. You're lonely because you don't have anybody that you'll actually connect with. And you start looking at this and going, well, why am I so vulnerable to depression? Why am I so vulnerable to anger? Why am I so vulnerable to this? It's because you don't have anybody to help keep you out of it. You just stay there because you have nobody there except for people that are probably dragging you back into it. Their lives suck too. That's probably what happens. Start thinking about it. If all your friends are drug users, chances are you're a drug user. If all your friends are alcoholics, chances are you're an alcoholic. If all your friends are rich, chances are you're rich. It's just simple as that. That's just how it works. That's how everything works around us. The 8 closest people around you generally will say who you are. So you start looking at this and start looking at those people and go, I don't like this or I don't like that. You have to start making changes in your life. You'll have to start making changes in who you relate with, who you hang out with, what sort of things that you have around. Look in your refrigerator. And this is a perfect example. You go, I want to lose weight. Well, what's in your refrigerator? Is there healthy things in the refrigerator? Or do you open up the fridge and go, wow, there's chocolate milk, there's this, there's that, and there's not a single thing in there that's healthy. Not a single thing. Somebody asked me one time, what's your workout plan? And what are you going to do to get physically stronger? Well, I don't know. Well, then what are you going to do? If you don't know what your plan is, how are you going to get stronger? I mean, for you, what are you doing to get spiritually stronger? How about that? Let's ask that question. What's your workout plan to get spiritually stronger? Today we're talking about feeding your spirit. What's your workout plan for that? What are you doing to grow it? You know, remember what we talked about a couple weeks ago. What you feed grows, right? What you starve dies. What are you feeding? What are you helping grow? What are you doing? Are you starving the flesh and then are you feeding your spirit? Or do you continue to feed the flesh? You're going, I got to have these things. I got to have this. I got to have more money. I got to have a better job. I got to have this. Because what you're doing is that you're feeding the items of the flesh. What we need to do. So, how do we feed our spirit? What are we supposed to do? Number 1, feed your spirit with prayer. Just like exercise makes your body stronger, prayer makes your spirit stronger. Matthew 26:41. Watch and pray so that you will not fall into temptation. Watch and pray so that you will not fall into temptation. The spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak. Fall into temptation. Okay? Listen to this. So that you will not fall into temptation. No one has ever fell into holiness. Nobody ever tripped along and went, oh, I'm holy all of a sudden now. It didn't happen that way. You fell into sin. You didn't trip and go, oh my gosh, I can know the entire Bible now. I know every word. I know all of it. No, you tripped, you fell, and you did it again. You went back to whatever it was. I tripped and became righteous. Now I can tell everybody what to do. No, it didn't happen that way. Jesus said to pray when you are weak because you will fall into temptation. It happens all the time. We'll be walking along, and it's crazy. I watch my son all the time. You know, he's 4 years old, and so obviously he hasn't learned everything about walking, but he'd be just walking along. He'd just be like, and just out of nowhere, and all of a sudden he takes a head dive. Out of nowhere. There was nothing on the floor. There was nothing in the way. He was just walking along, and everything was perfect. And all of a sudden he's now crying because he fell. Isn't that what happens to us? We'll be walking along, just enjoying our days, and the cell phone rings. Hey, let's go do this. Woo, pow, and you fell into temptation. The right phone call came in, and all of a sudden now you started, let's go do this. Well, if you would have said, hold on one second. Let me pray about that. Hold on one second. Let me just pray about that. Let me make sure that's God's will for my life right now. Let me just make sure of that. Oh, they're going to hang up. That's what they're going to do. Hey, you want to go to this place? No, let me pray about that. Click. I'm calling the next person. Jesus said to pray when you are weak, and then he did it. That's what he did. When he was weak, he prayed. What are you doing? When you get weak, do you pray? Or do you go, oh, got to put on my big boy pants and start muscling up and doing this now. First thing you should do is be praying. Maybe even sometimes you start getting to that prayer where you go, Father, lead me not into temptation, but deliver me from evil. That's submission. Remember we talked about that last week too, is that we all have to realize that there's a power greater than ourselves. And we start going, and we start getting, may Christ be stronger in me, and the wrong desires start going away. Those are things that you have to ask for. You have to deliver me from evil. Be stronger in me. But the temptation is so strong. It calls me in. Temptation is strong, but prayer is stronger. Temptation is strong, but prayer is stronger. You have to remember that. You have to remember that even telling yourself, I don't want to do that. No matter what the temptation is, no matter what's in front of you, if you're a spender, when you start looking at there, and I'm telling you, is that if you're in the middle of the store and you're going to buy that big screen TV and you're looking at it and you're going, I know I'm not supposed to be buying this right now. And then you pray about it, I'm telling you what the difference it'll make. You might even, if you prayed out loud right in the middle of the store, you might even get the clerk to talk you out of doing it. They might even be like, oh, no. Don't get God involved with me on this. No. Let's put it back. Let's find you something that's much more in your price range. Those are the things that happen. But instead, you want to hide those things. Let me go in the bathroom and find the deepest, darkest closet to go talk to God about this. Instead of going, let me talk to him right here, right now, before they're getting ready to swipe that credit card that we probably shouldn't be using on a regular basis, because all we're doing is paying that debt off over and over again. Just think about it. Just think about what you're doing and start thinking about, am I talking to God about the right things? Am I talking about giving me strength? Am I talking about leading me in the right direction? Or am I going, God, I need $1 million. I need a new car. Can you fix this car? Can you take care of this? Can you take care of that? Instead of going, God, direct me, lead me, guide me. Lead me from this temptation. Give me strength to get through this. There's a difference. Now, I want to ask you guys something. So for those of you that have prayed in the last couple of weeks, and if you're on the prayer team here, I know that you've been praying for people here. So you can't answer this question, but what I want you to do is I want you to start thinking about something. And over the last week, if every one of your prayers was to be answered, if God just did the Bruce Almighty thing and said yes to all, what changes in the world? Does your world change, or does the world change? Is it just everything about it? Does it all of a sudden, if all my prayers are to be answered, does it all of a sudden become a magical place for Mike, or does it become the happiest place on earth for everybody? Those are questions that we need to ask, is that if all of your prayers were answered today, what changes in the world? Start thinking about that. Start thinking about what you're asking for and what strength that you're getting, and also what changes are made in you as you go through that. The next one is that, this is the other one that you guys go, oh, Mike's talking about praying, so that means that he's going to talk about the next one, is that you need to feed your spirit with God's word. God's word is daily bread. It's the bread of life, and he tells us that. I am the bread of life. In Psalm 119, how can a young person stay on the path of purity? By living according to your word. I seek you with all of my heart. It doesn't say, I seek you with part of my heart. It says, I seek you with all of my heart. Do not stray from your commandments. Do not let me stray from your commands. I have hidden your word in my heart, and I might sin against you. I've hidden your word, and I might sin against you. So let me ask you this question. At your house, when people come over, what happens? Does the Bible stay out on the table, or does it get hidden? You're like, I got to go put that away. Does it stay out front and center on the coffee table? Is it part of who you are? Is it part of what you do? Is it part of your life? Does everybody know it? Or you're like, ooh, people are coming over. Better hide that. Nobody should know that we're Christians. I was reading an interesting story today, just this morning as we were getting ready for service, and one of the things that Billy Graham came out and said today, he said that Christians, in the next couple of years, we're getting ready to start facing, because what's happening is, I don't know if you noticed a change in culture in the United States. Have you seen what's happening? Is that sin is becoming more and more prevalent, and Christians are becoming more and more persecuted. So, Christians in this country have never known what it's like to be persecuted. We've never known what it's like to have to hide in order to do what we do. We've never known that. The country was built on religion. Remember, the first people who showed up were people running from the Church of England. Oh, they were pilgrims. They were pilgrims running from the Church of England. 8 years later, Puritans showed up. The first two groups of people were Christians. Now, they were stick-in-the-mud Christians, but they were Christians. And the thing is that our country was built upon Christian principles. Now, so you hear this, and we go, we've never, ever experienced Christian persecution. But don't you think it's starting right now? Don't you think that it's starting right now that you start hearing, I can't talk about my faith. I can't bring up what I believe. Look at Ben Carson. And I'm not saying vote for him, but I'm saying look at him on TV. He goes out and he says, this is what I believe. And he gets persecuted for it. They beat him up all day long. Look at what's happening with people who live their faith out loud. Why is that? It's because too many of us are staying quiet and we don't live our faith out loud. 80% of America considers themselves Christians. 80%. 5% live out loud, maybe. Maybe. I'm not talking about going to church, because you can go to church and still go out there and be a quiet Christian. When was the last time you lived your faith out loud? You put that word out there. You let people know that you're reading it. I see people that walk around with the Bible all the time. All the time. It's well worn. This last week or the last month at Mission Solano, when they were here, there was a Bible that was sitting there, and I was talking to a lady as I was getting the movie ready for them. And they go, is this your Bible? She was all, no, it's not. I go, man, this one is, you can tell that this is somebody's baby because it is well worn and well highlighted, and somebody's using it often. Somebody was into it on a regular basis. Can they say the same thing about us? Can they say the same thing when they look at us and they go, what are you feeding your word with? What are you feeding yourself with? Are you feeding yourself with God's word, or are you feeding yourself with 2020? You're feeding yourself with 60 Minutes. Because there's nothing but, guys, even Channel 7 News or 4 or 3 or whatever you watch, doesn't matter which one. How much good news did they report yesterday? How much good news did they talk about? How much life did they give you through the newscast? But yet you didn't pick up, they probably didn't have not one word. Oh, look at these high school football scores. Woo! That's great. Now back off to this person being killed. How much life were you given? How often are you in your word? Because that's where that daily bread is. Every day you need daily bread. How can a young person stay on the path of purity? By living according to your word. I seek you with all my heart. Do not let me stray from your commands. I have hidden your word in my heart, and that I might sin against you. Living according to what culture says is cool and fun. That's what people think. It's not the word. The word says, avoid the flesh. Seek me. You go, I'm not good at memorizing. Anybody in here say that? I'm not good at memorizing? Anybody? Oh, I'm not good at memorizing the word. I don't. So we just go through different cultures. If I was to put on an Aerosmith song for some of you guys, you know, a dude looks like a lady, all of a sudden you know every word to it? I mean, if I put on a Taylor Swift song, everybody know every word to it? That's what happens. What you hear often enough is what you bring in and what you memorize and what becomes part of you. So as you're sitting there and you're blasting whatever it is that's playing through KUIC or 102.5 FM or whatever it is, what is it that is becoming part of you? Because you know that. We can play certain songs and you would know them. We can play Journey and almost everybody in here singing. Almost everybody in here. When the lights go down, you know, don't start singing. That's all right. But that's what happens. You know those words. You know what happens. It just be natural. You'd be like, I can sing that one. I know it. Some people are like, what Journey? Who's that? Don't know them. But really, the thing is that what you bring in often enough is what becomes part of you and what you know. And so when you start looking at it and go, what words do I know? What I bring in often enough. You talk to some people, they listen to the Bible on a regular basis. It's in their car. They're listening to it. Some people, they read it all the time. You go, I'm not good at memorizing. That's just because you haven't put enough of it into you. That's all. It's hard if you're not reading it. It's hard to read it the first time and go, oh, I know Psalms 119 now. I know it was written by David. I know everything about it. It's hard if you only read it one time. That's why you got to study it. You got to look at it and read it and over again. You go, man, How do I stay pure? By living your word out loud. And you just start learning it. And it starts becoming part of you. You know, I can tell you things is that I use the same verses a lot of times. How about this one? I can do all things through Christ. Anybody? Can you finish that? Who gives me strength. See, some of you know it. I use it often enough in here that you might even be able to pick it up. Oh, of course it's back there. In case you're watching on TV, it's back there. When I am weak, he's strong. God's strength is made perfect in my weakness. You hear it often enough. Is that one back there too? No. It's good. One of my favorites right here. Come to me, all who are tired, all who need rest. Come to me. This is the only time that Jesus says life will be easy. By the way, if you read all of this, it's the only time that he says it's easy. He says, because my yoke is easy and light. That's what he says. This is the only time that he says it. Every other time he says that life will be difficult and have challenges. This is the only time that he says that it will be easy. He says his yoke will be easy. God is faithful. He will not let you be tempted beyond what you can bear. See, some of you guys have been paying attention. You know. You heard it. And you start thinking about it and you go, I get these things. What's your offensive weapon? What is it? Guys, you know that you're fighting against so much stuff that's happening in this world. What's your offensive weapon? What are you fighting with? Are you trying to fight with these? Because it's not going to work. It's not going to work what you're fighting with these. You have to be able to start looking at this and going, I need to know what God says. I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength. When I'm weak, he is strong. He is there for me. And he won't let me be tempted beyond what I can bear. And he will always provide a way out for me to go. What's your offensive weapon? What do you have? What are you looking at? What are you going on? Which direction I can go? And so some of you guys, you go, oh no, I don't have enough room in my fanny pack to carry a Bible. Nobody walks out of their house with this. I say fanny pack, purse, whatever you got. I was trying to make a joke, but you guys were like, fanny pack? Who has those? Is that what you have in your office, Mike? Because if that's the case, I'm out of here. But the reality is each one of you has this. In fact, you'll go home and get it. You leave it at home, you'll be like, stop the car, go back and get the phone. Got to have it. Can't leave without it. It's like the American Express card. You can't leave home without it, right? You know, and that's the thing is that your phone, you will get a mile away from your house and you'll be like, I left my phone at home. We better go back. Better go back and get that. You never know. Somebody may call me. They just may. And so the thing, you know, and the one thing that I'll tell you is that there's a couple of apps that are available for you. There's the Bible app. There's the Logos app. There's the church app. There's YouVersion. There's so many. There's so many different opportunities here. This is something that you won't leave home without. That you will go back, that you will go chase it down, but you won't install the Bible on your phone? Something that's a tool that's going to give you an offense to help you do something in this world, that if you're going to fight against something, it's there for you? Something that while you're looking there and you're going, I fell asleep during church and now I've got this. I've got this opportunity. I have something I can fight with. You have to look at this. You have no excuse not to have your word with you. There's no excuse. You're looking at this and go, I can't memorize. You have no excuse. You carry the word with you everywhere you go. You have nothing to protect your back, and you're going, why do I keep falling backwards into this? The last one, and you guys, this is going to be the hard one for some people, is that you have to feed your spirit with the right people. This is the hard part, okay? So you talk to some people, and he's not here right now, but as I talk to him, and he goes, I'm going, and I'm trying to connect with these people, and I'm going to be out. The thing is that they're dragging you down. You used to be a regular attender at church, and now we see you once every 9 weeks. You know, and you get pulled backwards, and he gets dragged down, and you go, oh no, they're not. They're such a great group of people. I'm not going to identify who it is, but some people know exactly who it is. And when that happens, and we look and go, are you really hanging out with the right people, or have the wrong people convinced you that they're the right people? That's what happens a lot of times. We get convinced that the wrong people, we're going, oh, I'm doing what God has asked me to do. You know, Paul told me to go become like them. Oh, 1 Corinthians 15, Paul also said, don't be misled. Don't be misled. Bad company corrupts good character. Come back to your senses as you ought and stop sinning. 1 Corinthians 15. Being with the wrong people never helps you do the right things. Okay, you guys know that, right? Being with the wrong people never helps you do the right things. If you are addicted to drugs, being with drug addicts is not going to go off and help you become a rich and meaningful member of community. That doesn't happen. You're not going to be, hey guys, why don't we turn this crack house into a nice, beautiful piece of property and sell it and make some money? No. In fact, hey, why don't we figure out how to pull out the nails and try and go see if we can sell those for scrap? Is really what the real conversation is. If you're addicted to porn, it's not like all of a sudden you're having crazy sex with your wife in the bed and you have this spiritual and amazing relational ministry. It just doesn't work that way. Usually it's the complete opposite. Usually you have no sex and your whole life is completely down. You're like, oh man, everything sucks. If you're addicted to work, you probably don't have a huge amount of success and you probably don't have a whole lot of love and community in your life. That's just the reality. Start looking at what you're addicted to. Start looking at who you're hanging out with. Start looking at the people that you're with. If you're in a Christ-centered community, things start changing. Like, if I was addicted to work, that's my wife. Go to work at 6 in the morning, come home at 10 at night. That was a regular basis. That was just every day. And that wasn't, I very rarely took days off. If I was still doing the same thing, I would not be doing what I'm doing today. If I would have continued going, this is the direction I'm going to go. It was an abrupt halt. I had to change who I was hanging out with, the people I did things with, everything. Everything changed. It came to a stop, and I said, no, we're going to fix this, and we're going to change everything that we're hanging out with, the people, and all of a sudden, you'll be amazed on what God does through you when you start making those changes, and you make a conscious decision. You go, God, lead me in the direction you want me to go. Lead me where you want me to go. What do you want me to do? And all of a sudden, things will start changing if you start going in that direction. You have to start moving in that direction. You guys got to remember something. When you start to exercise, it's no fun at first. Nobody ever goes to the gym the first time after not being there in forever and goes in and goes, woohoo, let's go do this. No, they dread it. Walking in the door, everything. They walk in and go, I'm going to be the only fat person here with all these skinny oh. That's what happens. You walk in like that. Or if you're a guy, you walk in and you go, I'm going to be the only weakling that can bench 80 pounds. Everybody else in here can bench 350. I know it. That's what it is. You walk in. Nobody ever walks in and goes, I'm the king here. Let's do this. No. Everybody, head down, everything. I don't want to make eye contact. They might think I'm trying to hit on them. Right? Or is it just me? Is it just me? I'm the only one that walks in that way. I'm both answers, though. I'm the only one that's going to be fat in here, and I can't pick up any weight. What about eating right? You go, we're going to make this decision. We're going to eat right. But your spouse goes, I like Twinkies and Doritos and everything that you're trying to get rid of. No, I want that. What do you mean Hostess went out of business again? No, and that's what happens is that you start looking at this and go, I want to eat right. But things, you can't get the person that you live with to change too. Or you look at there and you really go, what do you mean, tofu? That's what we're eating? Is that food? I'm sorry. If you eat tofu, I'm sorry. I'm not trying to make fun of it, but I'm making fun of it. I mean, what happens is you start to develop an appetite for it. That's what happens. Some people, I'm telling you, is that people that start to work out, they develop an appetite for working out. They get up and they just go, that's what I do. I get up and I go work out. People who eat tofu and rice cakes, they start going, those are delicious. Those are so good. I don't know how. But they do. They get to that point. They're like, nom, 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 nom. They treat them like cookies from Cookie Monster. I used to not like praying. I love it now. I do. I used to not like praying. I remember it was the first time that I was told to pray for a whole group of people, and they were like, all right, you pray. And I looked right at them. No. You pray. I'm not doing it, buddy. Not doing it. I love it now. It's just kind of it's part of who I am. I used to hate worship too. It was like, I'm going to wait out in the car, babe. I'll be in there in a few minutes. And show up right when worship was done. They'd be still singing. I'd be hanging out at the door. They done yet? All right, let's go on in. Let's check it out. I was so much more vulnerable. Now I'm full of God. There's a difference. Who are you hanging out with? What are you doing? What are you feeding yourself with? You have to start looking at this. You have to start looking at it and going, is it really God that you're full of, or is it you that you're full of? Which one is it? Where are you at? What are you doing? What are you trying to accomplish? Is this whole world all about you and what you're going to get? Or do you start looking at it and go, God, it's your power through prayer. It's your strength through the word. Is it his? Or do you try and make it yours? It's your goodness through your people. Through your people. It's his. It's all his. What are you feeding your spirit with? What are you doing? What direction are you going? And I ask this question because a lot of times we're just lost. And we're just wavering. I'm bobbing. We're like that little bobber that's out in the sea. And sometimes we get pulled down. Sometimes we stay down forever. And we're going, I can't breathe. What's going on? And then sometimes we get pulled out and it's a catch. Because right now you have this opportunity where you can be caught. And you can come out of the water and you don't have to go back in. Somebody can catch a 26-pound bass on you. It's fine. They just get pulled out of the water. But it's time to start making some changes. Because at this time right now, I want you to think about something. For some of you guys, you don't understand it. There's only 45 days until Christmas. You guys know that? Isn't that a scary thought? It's a scary thought. Think about this. Here's the bigger thing, though. It's 51 days until the new year. You know, we always talk about the new year brings new starts, right? The new year brings these different changes that we can have. The new year, I'm going to come up with resolutions, and I'm going to have these things. Well, let me tell you something, is that in order to start the new year right, you better start working on it now. You have roughly 6 weeks. There's 6 more Sundays until Christmas. So you have roughly 6 weeks. And what that means is that you have 6 weeks to start developing the habits that will make New Year's an actual new year for you, an actual change to where 2016 is not the same as 2015. Some of you guys are going, I don't want to be in debt next year. Well, then don't go in debt trying to buy Christmas presents. That's it. Don't be paying for Christmas in July of next year. But there's no reason for that. People will understand if they get one gift instead of 15. They'll get it. But start thinking about it. Start thinking about what you're going to change, the changes that you're going to make. What are you feeding your spirit with? What are you really going? I'm going to make changes this year, and I'm going to start going in this direction. Because if you want to start 2016 off differently, it starts right now. You're going to start making plans. You're going to start looking at things differently. You're going to start going, I want to change this. I want this to happen. I want to get in shape. I want to have these things. What is it? It starts now. You have to start developing the habits now. Because, can I tell you something? You guys all know that within 3 days, most people have broken all of their resolutions. Within 3 days. So, isn't it better to break them now and start practicing to get it right instead of at the new year and going January 4th going, oh, I already broke it. Well, so much for the rest of this year. Why not start now? And as you're making mistakes, by the time you get to the new year, you're like, I've developed strong habits. I've developed what I need to have. I've developed reading the Word every day. I've developed spending time with God. I've started hanging out with different people. Instead of people that drag me down, people that are helping lift me up and helping me grow and helping me become a little better. There's a difference that you can start making right now. There's the thing that's inside of your bulletin, and I don't know if you guys, if you didn't get a bulletin, I want you to get one before you walk out of the door. And inside of your bulletin, there's 2 invitations to Thanksgiving. And what I like to tell you guys is that, so this year, I was really thinking about it, and I was going to invite a whole bunch of people over to our house for Thanksgiving, and I said, you know what, the better idea is that we're going to invite everybody here for Thanksgiving. I'm not going to even do Thanksgiving at home. My Thanksgiving's going to be here. And the reason why is because I want to spend it with you guys. You know, I spend it with my family all the time, but they've already told me they're going to be here with us for a while. And we'll go over there and get leftovers at their house. But the reality is that There's a lot of people that have no place to go for Thanksgiving. They have no place to go. Maybe they can't even afford Thanksgiving. They just can't even afford a turkey or whatever it is. And I'm going to tell you right now is that number one, if you need a turkey, or you can't make it here or whatever, and you need a turkey, write it down on your connection card. We'll get you a turkey. That's not going to be an issue. But if not, we want you here. We want you to come hang out with us. Come hang out with people who want to do life with you and who want to hang out and who want to help you grow and who want to help feed your spirit into growing into the person that God has asked you to be and designed you to be, instead of sitting backwards and going, woe is me, I'm all alone. No, we can change that. And so the reason why we gave you two is, one, you can put on your own refrigerator if you want. But the reality is, we want you to give them to people. We want you to hand them out to others. And guys, we're not going to do, it's not like we're going to bring everybody in and go, well, now that we got you here, let's pull the rug from underneath your feet and let's have service. We're not going to do that. We're just going to feed them. There'll be grace said at meal, just like most of you will do at your dinner table. And we're going to do life. But it starts with us doing it with a meal usually, because that's what Jesus did. So often, Jesus reached people through a meal. He ate with sinners over and over again. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to eat with each other. All of us are sinners, and we're just going to do life together. But we would like for you guys know people that we don't know. You know people that you have neighbors that you know that are lonely. You have neighbors that, and I'll tell you is that if you're on Facebook, then we ask you to go to our Facebook event because we put it out there because it's really a non-intrusive way to invite people. And I'm sure that you're sick of the invites from us sometimes. But click on it and go invite others. Just click that you're interested. You don't even have to say I'm going. Just click interested and then invite some people. The reality is, guys, the event can be successful or it can be a failure. And it should be successful because there's this many people in here that want to help people in this community and want to help reach one another and want to do life with one another. There should be no reason why it'd be an unsuccessful event if we really wanted to change people's perspective and go, hey, let's do life a little different. Let's start this new year differently. And let's just do it by a meal. Plus, man, doesn't it feel good to feed people? Doesn't it feel good to just do life and just, you want people to walk out of here with a full stomach. You just do. It feels good. So, with that said, let's pray. Father, thank you so much for just giving us just some basic instructions sometimes on how to feed our spirit. We feed our spirit through praying with you and spending time and just talking to you. And we feed our spirit through your word. And then most importantly, I think so often is to spend time with other people who are going to help us grow and really and speak life into us instead of holding us backwards and pulling us down and really dragging us back from where we came and to where we almost become unrecognizable from who we are. Father, we know that you can take us from this past of evil and transform us and lead us in a new direction. All we have to do is just say, I want to move forward with you. I want to do life with you. I want your spirit to come invade my life and just really take over and turn me into the follower that you've asked me to be. Father, we need your strength for that. So often we're afraid to just really live our faith out loud. We're afraid to tell others that we're Christians. We're afraid to even pray in front of people. We're afraid that we're not going to say the right words, and you've already told us that it doesn't even matter what comes out of your mouth. You already knew what was on our heart. Father, help guide us. Help us start being strong, and help us be strong in just not only in your presence, but just when we're outside of it, even when we're in the presence of our friends, and help guide them and even invite them and start going, hey, come check this thing out. It's just different. Father, thank you for what you're doing. Thank you for what you're doing in this service, what you're doing through each one of us here, and the changes that you're just starting to make right now. And all this we pray in your Son, Jesus' name. Amen.